What's up, family? I'm Real Mike Rob. Make sure you tuning in to the 3-point conversion radio. They got all of it, and they keep it funky. Let's get it.
What's going on, people? Once again, it's your man, Raphael Haynes, Mr. Controversy. Did you miss me? And I have a special guest, have someone, Hall of Fame quarterback person I grew up watching, idolizing, and everyone idolizing at home. My man, Mr. Warren Moon. How are you doing today, sir?
Raphael, I'm doing great, my brother. How you doing? You dealing with this whole Super Bowl week through the technology age?
Yeah, I'm trying. It's funny because it's just as tiring as being up there. So, hey, but I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time.
I think we'd all like to be down there, but this is the next best thing, right?
Right. It is. It is. So, of course, we're here for the Super Bowl. Man, big matchup. To me, I guess I want you to answer when you look at both teams, you look at all of the talent. What team would you say if you was a quarterback right now that you would love to play in that offense with those players?
You know, both of these offenses are tailor-made for my skills. First of all, uh, Bruce Arians' offense is an offense where they like to throw the football down the field. They like to stretch the field, and that's what I love to do when I played. So I love taking those deep shots. I love throwing those deep outs and those deep ins, and they have those big receivers on the outside that have those great catch radiuses. But I also love what Andy Reid does as far as how innovative he is and the way he uses that speed on the Kansas City Chiefs team. Whether it's just throwing the ball down the field, but he also throws a lot of quick screens to those guys. He gets the ball to them in space as many ways as he can to get them in open field and in one-on-one situations. So both of these coaches, both of these offenses are something that I would love to be involved in because they're different, but they fit right into my skill set.
Yeah, I see. And you like when you were at Houston, you had man all those weapons that run and shoot. We talked about it on the radio show before the run and
Yeah.
shoot offense. So
Yeah, having all that speed, man,
yeah,
speed kills, and you can't coach speed. You either have it or you don't. And Kansas City has a plethora of it, but with Hardman, with Sammy Watkins if he's healthy, and you also have of course Tyreek Hill, and then you got a tight end who, even though he's a tight end, he runs like a wide receiver. So much speed on that football team.
and then you look on the other side with Tampa Bay, they have Tom Brady, who I look at as the greatest football player that's ever played. I know you have Jerry Rice, but just what he's done. Just tell me from your perspective, you're a quarterback. What do you love about Tom Brady?
Yeah, I just love his consistency. I mean, he's been doing this for a long time. He doesn't have like up and down years. He probably hasn't been as good uh, up until this year, the two previous years, but a lot of that has to do with the people who are around you. He didn't have a whole lot of talent in New England those last couple of years. And that's one of the reasons he's in Tampa right now, is he wanted to go somewhere where he could get more talent, and he doesn't have to do it all. So um, I just love that he's still motivated to keep playing and wanting to get to 10 championship games and maybe a chance to win 7 championships. What keeps you going? And it says it's not enough. And I heard him talking yesterday, and he's talking about next year, how he's going to be better next year because he'll have another year in the system. So he's not looking to move away from this game anytime soon. And God bless him, man, because I played till I was 44. But if I had won that many championships by now, I probably wouldn't have played that long.
That's crazy that he's about to beat the fact that you played till you was 44 and Tom Brady is trying to beat
Well, he
that.
said he wanted to play till he's 45, and I think he's going to do it.
Right. Now, all right, we talk about the pandemic and everything that's going on. You mentioned it before. When you're playing in the Super Bowl, or even if we say playoff game, because I know you didn't reach the Super Bowl, but playoff game, knowing that you won't have all of the fans there, does that make a huge difference in the way you play and just the energy and everything?
I think if there was no fans in there for the Super Bowl, yeah, it would. But they're going to have 22,000 fans in there. So there's going to be some noise in there. There's going to be some energy in there. And then before Tampa Bay, it's almost like a home game for them because they are in their home stadium. So there might be a little bit of an advantage for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when it comes to the energy and the noise and maybe a distraction. So yeah, if it was an empty stadium like a lot of these teams have played with throughout the season, I think it would be a difference. But because there's going to be 22,000 people there, it's going to have a resemblance of a Super Bowl game.
Good, yeah.
You know, the NFL will do whatever they can to blow it up even bigger than what the 22,000 is, whether it's, with their halftime show, with who's singing the national anthem, singing God Bless America, all the different things that they have. It's going to be quite the production. So I think these players will really be into it by the time kickoff comes.
Right, and it's probably the first Super Bowl that I've watched that I will watch by myself because I have to do the post game virtually, so I can't go to. Well, first of all, I'm not going to the party anyway. But but it's gonna be different. But I got to get into the NFL, and you always told me that you're a big Cam Newton fan. We see what's going on in New England with that situation, and we see Cam struggle in a sense. Like, what do you equate that to as far as the struggles? And do you put that all on Cam? Was it the system, the year?
Again, look at what made Tom Brady leave. There was nothing there. There's nothing in the cupboard. A quarterback is only as good as the people he has around him. And you show me on that football team one household name at any of their skill positions, any of their wide receivers, their tight ends. There's nobody that's a threat to anybody. So for Cam, he almost had to do it by himself offensively. He was running the ball a lot more than he had to. All the touchdowns they were making was him and his legs because they just didn't have the receivers. Edelman got hurt halfway through the year, and he didn't play the rest of the season. So it was unfortunate for Cam to come into that type of situation where he didn't have a lot of talent. He didn't have an off season to learn the program. He had to learn that kind of on the run. So it was a very difficult transition for him, and I thought he did okay under the circumstances.
Do you think he should go back?
I would go back if I saw that they were going to really make some changes to upgrade their talent, especially from the skill set for him. They had a lot of guys on the defense that opted out, so I think those guys are going to come back next year and they'll be good defensively. But offensively, they've got to go out and find some impact type players on that offense, especially at the wide receiver spot, so it gives your quarterback a chance. And then I think if Cam has a chance to come in with an off-season program, with a training camp and all of that, yeah, that could be a good place for him to be and stay. Hopefully they want him back, but there's going to be some other opportunities out there as well for him.
Now, speaking of leaving and staying, we saw the big trade with Detroit and the Rams, and Jared Goff is in Detroit, and they gave up a lot of Los Angeles, and of course they got Stafford. From Detroit side with Goff, Goff was featured as like the premier quarterback a few years back, and I don't know what happened since then, but with him, with a fresh start, new players, do you think it can work in Detroit?
Yeah, I think it can. First of all, the general manager there is one of the ones that helped draft Jared Goff when he was with the Rams. So now he's a general manager in Detroit. So that's why they wanted him there. So he believes in Jared. They had a perfect storm a few years ago when Jared was there. They had Todd Gurley, who was running the ball very well, which made the play action pass that much more effective. And that's why Jared was able to have the types of couple of seasons that he had. But once that running game kind of went downhill, Jared really struggled when he just had to drop back in the pocket and throw the football. So he's got to get back more to an offense that has a little bit more balance to it, where they can run the football and then he can play action, because he's very, very good at play action, but he's not great at movement. And when the pocket starts to shut down, he's not as good when the pressure is around him. So I think he can still be a very good quarterback for the Detroit Lions, but they're going to have to build some pieces around him like the Rams did those first few years he was there when they went to the Super Bowl.
And then on the Rams side with Stafford, he finally have talent, running backs, wide receivers, a defense, and a coach that understands. I think he had a coach. Well, not think he had a coach in Jim Caldwell, but we all know what happened with that.
Right.
But now that he's with the Rams, do you see the Rams moving on?
Well, I think he definitely upgrades their quarterback position. The thing that bothers me about the Rams is because they've given up so many draft picks over the years to get good players in there. There's not a lot of depth on that team. So you saw when Aaron Donald was hurt against the Green Bay Packers, they weren't able to put any pressure on Aaron Rodgers in the playoff game. So they've got to find some way to get some more depth to that football team. But I think as far as the starting units on both sides, they're really, really talented. But if they have a couple of major injuries throughout the season, which sometimes happens, you're going to see a big drop off in their play because they just don't have a lot of depth. But they're going to be better at quarterback because Stafford can do some of the things in McVay's offense that Jared Goff wasn't able to do physically. So I think they'll be better that way. But again, my biggest concern is what if one of those major guys gets hurt, then what happens?
Right. And before I let you go, I have to ask you this. When you play, what cornerback or DB that you say, okay, I'm going to stay away? If you felt that, was it anybody when you played like, okay, I got to stay away from this guy?
It's nobody that I really stayed away from, but there were guys that I made sure I wasn't trying to make a living over on their side. You can't not throw to one side of the field and let one guy take the field away from you. You got to have confidence that you can complete a ball and that your receiver can get open. But I think there was two guys, probably prime, Deion Sanders, of course, and then Rod Woodson was another guy I played against him twice a year in my division with Pittsburgh. He was a guy that you didn't want to make a living throwing against either, or he'll take one to the house on you. So those two guys and they're both in the Hall of Fame, very, very good corners.
All right. I know you got a busy schedule. Everybody's wanting to get into that brand of yours. Definitely appreciate you for coming on. You always know you're welcome on the show, and you have a safe weekend.
All right. You do the same. Enjoy the game. And thanks for having me on. I'm sure we'll talk down the road.
Yes, sir.
All right.